Finally, after 2 months of stalling, it's here. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Capcom Smash, a series where I look at an alternate timeline where Capcom made Smash Bros instead of Nintendo, and I build the roster. Once again, shout out to Folgy's Arcade for his series Build the Roster and his Sega Smash video, and being the whole inspiration for this series. Anyways, we're going to be quick with the intro so we can get into the roster. Quick reminder of the rules. Rule 1, I'm including guest characters, but they all have to have a connection to Capcom or one of their franchises. Rule 2, all characters have to originate from video games. Rule 3, Echo Fighters have to be replaced with Echo Fighters. And finally, Rule 4, each game will take place in the last full year of a console generation. So, for this game, it will be in 2005. So for this roster, all 12 characters will be returning, plus 14 new characters since Zelda and Sheik are counted separately. And with that, let's get into it. Chun-Li. Starting off with an easy one of my most wanted Capcom characters for Smash. Just like how Melee expanded the Mario roster, this game will be vastly expanding the Street Fighter roster, and we'll start with Chun-Li. Now, a little behind the scenes, I was originally going to include Chun-Li in the first game, but I thought Sakura made more sense to be a parallel for Yoshi, which I'm not doing parallels anymore, as previously mentioned, so instead she's being included in this game, and she can work great in a platform fighter, as she's already capable of gaining a lot of airtime with her spinning bird kick, so having a lot of jumps for a platform fighter is very easy to justify. Akuma. Just like how Melee added a couple of villains, this Melee will do the same as well. And while M. Bison is the big bad of Street Fighter, I decided to go with Akuma because he's more popular, and both this game and Brawl have adventure modes that need bosses, and M. Bison is too perfect for that. And as for Akuma himself, most of the work is done for his moves. There's plenty of aerials, and for his final smash, it has to be the Raging Demon. Cammy. Another Street Fighter character, another character hard to explain why. Because do you really want me to explain why Cammy is a good pick for a Capcom crossover? It's Cammy, one of the most popular Street Fighter characters. But that being said, Cammy has lots of other outfits that can be used for her alt colours in future games, like a Killer Bee design from the Alpha games, or a classic leotard when we use the Street Fighter 6 look as a default. Zangief. As mentioned last video with Arthur, I love heavyweights and platform fighters, in particular Incineroar and Smash Ultimate, that game's go-to grappler, and thanks to that, we're including the granddaddy of grapplers himself, Zangief. And this is a character who I don't have to elaborate on how they have multiple jumps, because I don't. Just like his fellow heavyweights, he sinks like a brick. Leon Kennedy. Moving away from Street Fighter to the only other series to get multiple new characters with Resident Evil, and the face of the series, Leon Kennedy. Now, there's a lot to say here, starting with how he would fight. He has plenty of knife moves and guns he can use, similar to Jill, but he can also use Ashley for a few moves, sending her out as a distraction or to trip his opponent up, similar to how Phoenix uses Maya in Marvel 3, and this game can play into Resident Evil's more action-focused turn, with Leon being more aggressive than Jill. And of course, we have to give him his backflip for his down B as a counter. Additionally, this, alongside Chun-Li, is one of my most wanted characters in regular Smash, not only due to Resident Evil's former GameCube exclusivity, but also to finally have a character represent horror games. But beyond that, for this game, not only has Leon gone on to be Capcom's pseudo-mascot, but even back then, Resident Evil 4 was a smash hit and is to this day regarded as one of the greatest video games of all time, and really drove Resident Evil on the spotlight as one of Capcom's core series, so Leon has to get in for that alone, and since Resident Evil 4 was such a smash hit, he isn't the only one. Ada Wong. As previously mentioned, Resident Evil 4 was a smash hit, so another character is more than deserved, and Ada was the clear choice for two reasons. One, she's still one of the most popular Resident Evil characters ever, and two, is something that also applies to Leon. Now, Resident Evil 4 came out the same year as this game will be releasing, as it came out in January 2005, while this game will come out around November. But I'm including both Ada and Leon regardless because A, Resident Evil 4 was that important, and B, even if you think this game would come out too late for Resident Evil 4, both Leon and Ada were already in RE2, so they are pre-existing characters that if you wanted to, you could give them moves based on RE2 and give them the RE4 designs. And as for Ada herself, she would be like a more sneaky version of Snake in Smash, giving her some guns and EMPs, as well as a chokehold, and even giving her a device that allows her to float up just like Snake. Nemesis. Like I said, after Resident Evil 4 blew up, it firmly cemented it as one of Capcom's core franchises, so another character is more than fair. But they can't all be from RE4, so let's go back a few games to the mascot of survival horror and horror game monsters in general, Nemesis. And he helps add more villains to the roster, which I previously mentioned wanting, and he would be another tank, falls like a brick. But he also has lots of moveset potential, such as using his tentacle like a grappling hook for his up B, or using his rocket launcher for a neutral B. And no, I'm not biased because I'm a Nemesis made in Marvel 3 and Infinite. Be quiet. Zero. And now moving on to the returning series that only got one new character, starting with Mega Man. And as mentioned last time, even though Capcom has all but forgotten them in recent years, back in the day, Mega Man was a core series, and even though by the mid-2000s the regular Mega Man games had weaned out, the characters still persisted, and in particular, Zero, who has gone on to be a fan favourite, especially due to his inclusion in the Marvel games. So Zero's inclusion here is very obvious, and as for his moves, I've never played a Mega Man game, so I don't know much, but in Marvel, he's always zooming all over the place, so giving him a lot of jumps can be easily justified. Lord Raptor. As I said in the last video, even though Capcom refuses to make a new Darkstalkers game, they will always use the Darkstalkers characters for crossovers, so a new character in most games seems fair, especially given their status as a fighting game series. And as for Lord Raptor, it's partially a personal preference, as he is my favourite out of all of them, and while there are much more popular choices like Lilith and Hisenko, since we are still early on in the series, I feel it best to go for one of the original characters. But even with how wacky all of Darkstalkers is, Lord Raptor is that extra bit more zany, so it's very easy to imagine them in the more wacky style of fighting game that is Smash Bros. Anyways, with all of the returning series out of the way, let's move on to the new series, starting with... Dante. Starting with one of the most wanted Capcom characters in Smash, Dante is a pretty obvious choice. Even as someone who hasn't really played Devil May Cry beyond the first two stages, even I know the sheer potential for moveset due to Dante's wide arsenal, so his moveset is more than covered, and beyond that he has good alt colour potential with the reboot design and his classic design when we change to the DMC5 Dante, and I think this is where it's crucial to mention that this game is set in 2005. I'm bringing this back up because by the time the real Melee came out we were only on the first game, but by 2005 we were already on 3, and I'm bringing this up again because it's crucial for all the new series introduced, because between 1999 and 2001 Capcom had very few new series, so this is the exact reason I decided to change the years for each game. Trish. Now this is really stretching the extent of the little knowledge I have of Devil May Cry, but I knew by the third game it definitely deserved a second character, especially with the power of hindsight, and while Virgil was in the running for a while, he was just introduced by this point, while Trish has been here since the beginning, so I gave her the edge. But as how she would play, This might be inaccurate, so apologies in advance, but from what I gathered in Marvel 3, I'm going to guess somewhat similar to Ike, making long swings with a large sword, and then give us some projectiles like guns and spells. I'm sorry if that was inaccurate. I've not played almost any Devil May Cry, and this info was gathered from the 3 minutes I spent playing as her in Marvel 3. Phoenix Wright. Nick has a lot going for him. Not only would he be great in actual Smash Bros, being a guest character with strong links to Nintendo, but on top of that, this is one of the few series to get multiple new games between this game and the last one. But also despite that, being a non-fighter, he's already been in a fighting game, where they captured the courtroom puzzle gimmick in a moveset perfectly, and his more gimmicky moveset would work perfectly in a platform fighter, kinda like Steve in Smash Ultimate. So he's a great choice, and similar to Mega Man, even though they don't get games anymore, Capcom still pumps out compilations, so they clearly still acknowledge how popular Ace Attorney is for them, so he's a surefire choice for a crossover. Beautiful Joe. Now we've arrived at another character I've never touched the games of, but I think he'd be a good fit. For one, similarly to Phoenix Wright, he had multiple games between 2000 and 2005, but also his series kind of came and went almost immediately, with all of his games coming out in the span of a few years, and they're never seen again outside of Marvel 3. So using hindsight once again, this is his only real opportunity to get in, and additionally, given what little I know about the series, he seems to zip and zoom around, so he'd fit in a platformer quite well. I think at least. Nina. Rounding out the roster, just like with the original Smash Melee, we are including an obscure retro pick that will only be remembered through this series, and for that, we have Nina from Breath of Fire. Now, Nina almost made the first roster, but I figured she was too obscure for the first game, and fit more of the weird obscure pick that gets brought back despite this series being completely irrelevant, and as for her moveset, I'm not even going to pretend I know anything about Breath of Fire, but doing my best guesswork, I'm going to say give her a sword and some spells, since Breath of Fire is an RPG, and I also kind of had to include her because she has wings. That's perfect for a lot of jumps. And with that, I have finished the roster for Capcom Smash Melee. This took a lot longer than it should have, and I apologise because I'm a massive procrastinator, and I'll warn now, expect a long gap between this and Brawl, as I do other video ideas I come up with, as I struggle to commit one thing at a time, but it'll come out eventually, trust me. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Please like and comment your thoughts down below. Call me out on how wrong I was about Trish and Nina. Please subscribe if you're not already. And once again, check out Foggy's Arcade for being the inspiration for this series. Goodbye.